I have seen at rituals, I have seen George Bush, I have seen Madeleine Albright, I have seen Henry Kissinger, I have seen Ronald Reagan, and I have also, by the way, seen his wife, Nancy Reagan. I have seen Hillary Clinton before I knew she was Hillary Clinton at the time at these rituals. She is involved. The other people that I have named I have seen shapeshift into reptilians. I have not seen Hillary Clinton actually shapeshift, but she is involved. I have seen the two sons when they were young, the two sons of George Bush present at these rituals.
Are these the sons that have become governors?
Yes. One is in Florida and one is in Texas. I have seen, did I mention Jay Rockefeller? And he shapeshifts. I've seen George Deukmejian and Ronald Reagan again, having been governor in California. There have been people such as Newt Gingrich. I saw, and I didn't know at the time that he was Newt Gingrich. I recognized that he was Newt Gingrich when Clinton came into power, and after he was, Newt Gingrich was then elected Speaker of the House.
Come to Earth to infiltrate the human race.
Reptilians or reptoids are said to be races of intelligent creatures which come from extraterrestrial worlds or parallel dimensions. They live primarily underground or in caves and tunnels, that sort of thing.
Can you tell us how this was done?
How do they murder people? All the children's posters that you see that are missing, they're pretty much dead. They have underground caverns in the mountains, and they keep the children and the kids and the women and men there. And then at a certain time in mid-September, October, they take them out, and they're so, they'd make the people so numb with curses and stuff, and they'd also drug them up, and they'd take a sacrificial knife and they'd start from the chest and move all the way down to your abdomen. And then that's how they sacrificed, and they collect the blood and they drink it.
Aleister Crowley called Magic in Theory and Practice. So in the 12th chapter of this book, he has a whole chapter dedicated to blood sacrifices. So we're going to just dabble into that real quick just to see what it says, just to see what it's talking about. Some people call it the pentagram or whatever you want to call it. So within magic, the magician or the witch, whatever you want to call it, stands there and does the summoning or the invocation or the evocation of an entity from within the circle, and that's the circle of protection, basically. And then across from him, he draws another smaller circle or some sort of shape or other shapes inside where the entity is basically summoned at. So basically, he calls out their name. There may be some other words that go with the ritual, whatever. There's even, I even study now a specific branch of magic called Enochian magic or Enochian magic, however you want to pronounce it. It's like an ancient language that the spiritual realm can understand, basically. So you say the words verbally in the physical realm, and the language is so ancient, supposedly, that you can talk directly with entities on other dimensions using this language. For the highest spiritual working, one must accordingly choose that victim which contains the greatest and purest force. A male child or of perfect innocence and high intelligence is the most satisfactory and suitable victim. Let me read that again. A male child of perfect innocence and high intelligence is the most satisfactory and suitable victim. For evocations, which is when they're trying to summon, like you see right here, they're trying to summon an entity into the physical realm. it says for evocations, it will be more convenient to place the blood of the spirit in the triangle. The idea being that the supposed spirit might obtain from the blood this subtle but physical substance, which was the quintessence of its life in such a manner as to enable it to take a visible and tangible shape. So what it's saying here is basically that the blood of a male child is what helps these rituals work, because the blood of a child, the physical blood, is where the life is, if you don't already know this. So that's why if somebody bleeds to death, it kills them. Like you can look at blood as the currency of the spiritual realm, because it gives spiritual essence a physical form. They need blood to allow these spirits and these demons, whatever they're summoning, they need the blood to conjure these things for them to become physical entities to deal with.
Pentagram. And then there, in the middle of that, there is a triangle. And if you're the one calling them out, then you stand in the triangle so that you're not devoured or taken by these creatures that come out.
That creates an energy field around you, which they can't penetrate.
They can't penetrate it, and they cannot get outside the pentagram. And they want out. They're always demanding to be let out. And so you have to be very powerful to keep them in line and to make them go back when it is time for them to go back.
Why do the reptilians want to manifest these quote demons at the rituals?
It brings power to the rituals. It brings power to them. They are told things by these entities, and they are encouraged to go on with what they're doing, and knowledge is imparted to them. Oftentimes they will just rip into the victim and eviscerate them and start eating the flesh of this person too, and the fat from the intestinal area is highly valued, as they use it on their skin.
And then the Freemasons got into two lines and took turns having their way with me. After that sexual abuse was over, the dining room appeared to be sort of cleared out. And then in came in a smaller group of men. However, they were dressed in these robes with hoods. One of them was wearing a goat skull or some sort of cattle skull on their head. And they brought in a little boy who was probably about my age. So I'm at the front of the table, looking down the table. This little boy was off to the right-hand side, about midway of the table, and they had him on a little altar. And this guy in this hooded robe was just kind of hovering over him like this and cutting him open and basically just torturing this little boy by cutting him, letting him bleed, and I was forced to watch. It was about this time, too, that I was being placed into some sort of animal carcass on the altar. And when the little boy was dead, and he stopped screaming, I looked and saw the guy who was cutting him open like this, like possibly he was eating the entrails or drinking the blood of this little boy. And when this little boy died, a demon was summoned, and it appeared to look like some sort of black mist that congregated in the center of the room, like right underneath the giant chandelier in the middle of the table.
And the fat from the intestinal area is highly valued, as they use it on their skin. And they will drink the blood, and the blood is highly sought after, and it goes according also to rank within these creatures, as to who gets what when. And their sacrifices have increased in the last, it started increasing in the early 80s, the amount that they were doing. And then about 4,000 years ago, the reptilians arrived here and again began to take over. And they instilled themselves in different places underground in the earth, and also this one part of them, the ruling part, took over and became involved in the politics and in the religion, and started controlling through these means at that point in time, and using the gods and deities that were believed in on this planet, started infiltrating into that and becoming that, and things started, blood rituals started happening, and since that time, that is the way that it has been.
Ground between 100 and 200 miles beneath the surface.
He say that they live underground, about 100 or 200 miles below the surface in cities.
They've been here, some of them have been here a long, long time. They have lifespans that are thousands of years. They're carnivorous. They are not friendly to mankind, at least the ones that are here.
They're pedivores. They like to eat children.
Is it carnivorous? They eat humans?
Yes. And they won't eat a dead human. It has to be alive at the time of the killing. Their preference is children. You know, and we've been told, you shouldn't talk about that. You know, other people say, well, you better not talk about the reptilians. Well, you know, bull. You know, why not? According to the Andromedans, they're responsible for 31,712 children disappearing in the last 25 years from the United States. These children were food. And I'm supposed to just shut up and not say anything about it because people don't want to hear it? That's tough. That's tough. You know, Westchester County, in the last 5 years, 3,000 children in Westchester County, New York, have vanished without a trace. Where are they going? Why are we allowing this to happen? And why should people stay in denial about it?
Now, how are they able to do this? How are they able to do it? How are they able to come up out of this from underground and do it? Or do they have...
There are tunneling systems everywhere. They're being helped by the Greys, and also there are groups within the higher echelon that are actually helping them acquire this.
So
CIA, FBI, police.
Human beings are abducting the kids and getting them to the Greys to in turn give them to the Alpha Draconans?
That's right. That's part of the deal. They won't come up as long as we feed them down there. You understand? It's about human beings selling themselves out. The echelon attitude here, the needs of the few outweigh the needs of humanity. And sorry, that just isn't right. You know, but it's going to have to be humanity that's going to rise up and take the stand. You're just going to have to turn off your televisions. They're going to have to get in their car. They're going to have to fire everybody in Washington, D.C. that knows and does nothing. And they're going to have to do something. You know, this apathy's got to end. Otherwise, the way we live is going to end.
About the purity of being pure and staying, the Aryan bloodline staying pure, and what it actually is all about is keeping the blue-eyed, blonde or light red-haired people, the bloodline's pure because it is more powerful. And what is in that blood for these reptilians is more powerful, and they need that. And when you start mixing it with people that were indigenous to this earth, then it is not as powerful. It has to do with keeping the bloodline pure for their use.
So blonde-haired, blue-eyed people are the purest from the reptilians' point of view, and that they want to keep that bloodline pure because of how they need to use it.
Yes.